Hi friends. How are you going today? How are things? I have this really fun and interesting book to show you. It's called The Rainbow Brain. In a lot of cases, rainbow is associated with pride, the LGBTQIA+ community. But in this case, rainbow is referring to something different. It is colours mixing together, and the colours represent different aspects of the brain, different conditions people might have, and the way that they mix and interact with each other. This book is about AuDHD, autism and ADHD, and how they coexist. I'm super excited about this because, according to the creators of this book, as far as they know, this is the first children's book ever talking about autism and ADHD combined. I got this book a little while ago, back when I was first diagnosed, which, if you didn't know, I have recently been diagnosed with both autism and ADHD. I feel like it was probably a couple months ago. So we will be going through this book together. But I do want to have a little bit of a chat as well, and just share with you how my journey's been going. Because I think the last time we spoke, I was still very much in turbulence. I was very happy and excited to be diagnosed, but it was still just a very emotional time with sort of acclimatizing myself to like my new reality, even though it's not new. Like, I've always been autistic and an ADHDer, but yeah. So since then, I have settled a lot. It's been so fascinating to relearn myself. I was always too scared to sort of put labels on myself pre-diagnosis, because I was scared that I was making it up and I had it all wrong, and so I would see things that I related to, but I never wanted to look too closely. But since it's been confirmed and I have my diagnosis, I am researching and I'm finding so much information and just learning about myself. And there's so much stuff, like especially with the ADHD, because that was a surprise for me. I was always like, no, I don't have ADHD. Like, that doesn't describe me at all. But since I've actually been learning about it in the context of myself, there's so many instances now where I just stop and go, how did I ever think I was not an ADHDer? Like, it's so obvious. My friend fully, like, because she's learning as well, like she's learning to recognize ADHD in me, and she tells me, like, yeah, I knew I lost you halfway through me talking, but I figured I may as well just keep going, like. Yeah. The difficult part at this stage is the logistics, the paperwork and whatnot. So that's sort of the challenges I'm going through at the moment. Like applying for funding, for supports, trying to figure out employment stuff. I'm trying to buy a car, which I don't know that it's going to happen, but that's been very stressful. Yeah, knowledge is so powerful, and just learning and growing to understand how my brain works is just amazing. It's not easy, it's not always fun, but overall it's just a wonderful thing. And also the fact that like the way it's been explained to me by my psychologist, like if you're diagnosed with both autism and ADHD, it's not necessarily like, it doesn't necessarily present as like two separate things, but it presents as like a third thing. That's why a lot of people refer to it as AuDHD, like AuDHD, because the combination creates something new. And that's also what this book is about. It's just very simple, very simple children's book, but I think sometimes children's books can just be really powerful, just really bearing things down to the basics. So we'll take a look, shall we? We have the rainbow brain. Lots of trees. I love the shape of them. And they're all solid colours. So it's pink and green and blue and yellow. And then this one has all different colours. Also, before we start, can I please just draw some attention to my nails? Because I feel like they're the heckin' cutest. Little rainbows and tiny frogs. I thought, what better time to wear them? And I love the pinky one actually. The little frog up here. Okay. Deep down in the brain forest, I found a tree that looks like mine. It wasn't like any brain I'd seen. It had colours that swirled to combine. This tree was a sight to behold, with beautiful shades of blue, but all mixed in with that, there was some fiery red too. This swirling, whirling tree is called autism and ADHD. Those are names for what it's like to have a brain like me. Blue and red, peanut butter and jam, butter and bread, mint and lamb. Will they work together? Amazingly, they just do. Can we know them as one rather than as two? We could be wonderful together and come to know this dance of how two seemingly opposing ideas can work perfectly given the chance. This one labelled autism says, I like to know what's coming up. I feel great when things are the same. I plan all the smallest details to keep stress out of my brain. And ADHD says, I like life to be interesting and new. I feel bored when things are the same. Details can matter or get tossed aside, doing what I feel is my aim. These sound like they're opposing each other. So how do they coexist? We have purple over here. I can deal with change unless a surprise you spring. Given choice, control and time, I'm happy to do new things. When I read this page, I actually got quite emotional. It may sound kind of obvious or boring to you, I guess, but the way I feel, I never felt like I fit into either one of these things. And it makes sense because it's actually this third thing over here. Like, this just sums me up. I mean, not all of me, but it describes me so well. And looking back on my life experiences, it explains so much. ADHD says, my brain likes to go fast and do lots at the same time. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. How I get things done is mine to define. I love that too. Autism says, my brain needs to go slow. It takes its time to think. There are so many facts gathered to collect, process, and sync. It just describes me so well. Both together, I learn best with preferred topics. My interest determines my speed. Yes. When it's boring, though, I multitask to meet my needs. And they're shown here to be using fidget toys. Autism again. My brain does not filter, taking in most sights and sounds. Being in nature is lovely, but I need help in busy surrounds. Turn down lights, use noise-cancelling headphones, and ask to meet in a quieter space. As some examples. ADHD. My brain thinks everything's important. I pay attention to it all. It's easy to forget what is said. I use strategies to help me recall, such as using one instruction at a time, sitting closer to the teacher or whoever it is, making it visual, drawing or writing it down. We engage with the world so deeply, our highs are high, our lows are low. However I am feeling, I allow myself. I've learned to go with the flow. That is so important. So important in self-regulation, I have found. It's hard to do. Now these colours that are swirling work together, don't you see? Want to know another little secret? There may be more colours in your tree. Turn the page. Look at all these colours. We have aphid, which I actually had to look up. Remember the acronym, but it's to do with food sensitivities. We have intellectual disability, anxiety, PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance, Tourette's, giftedness, OCD, and we have dyslexia, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, and dyspraxia. And this is not all of them, of course. There are so many different trees, and a few of them are rainbow. I'm learning more about my brain type, and with the right supports, I grow. Here are some people that help nurture rainbow brains. We have occupational therapist, parents, animal therapist, counselor, play therapist, psychologist, support worker, speech pathologist, teacher, and art therapist. course, this is directed at children, but still valid. Here are some things that can hurt rainbow brains: loud noises, bright lights, too many things to concentrate on, having to sit still for a long time, sudden changes, rejection, feeling misunderstood, and ignoring our body signs. Here are some things that can help rainbow brains: resting when we need, sensory accommodations, safe and same foods, asking for what we need, learning about ourselves, time in nature, time with interests, and meeting others with rainbow brains. We've got this person down here saying, "I am enough." And "I love nuggets." Both valid. Having a rainbow brain is special, but the world can be hard to navigate. See, it wasn't built for rainbow brains. There are still changes we need to create. It's tiring moving through this world, and we need more time to rest. Making space for self-care and the things we love helps us feel at our best. There's a lot in this little statement here, in this page. Now we know what works for the rainbow brain design. Go build a wonderful life and shine, shine, shine. Here we can learn about the different terms that we used. I won't go through all of it, but I thought this was interesting. PDA standing for pathological demand avoidance. It says the affirming community prefers to think of this as pervasive drive for autonomy, PDA. And I really like that. It's characterized by someone who finds it extremely hard when people tell them what to do, because choice gets taken away from them. PDAers need to be in control. There we go. ARFID stands for Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. Although it may be difficult to deal with some of these things at present, you were created for a purpose. Eventually, the world will embrace your uniqueness, and it is already starting to happen. The world is starting to recognize that there is more than one way to be smart, and make space for all the different ways we learn. However, even when times are tough, it's important to keep sight of your worth and what makes you amazing. You will find your path based on your strengths and your purpose. We need all kinds of minds, including yours. About the author. I do not know how to pronounce this. Sandhya Menon. Sorry for butchering your name, but thank you for writing a wonderful book. There's also some interesting facts here. Autism and ADHD was first allowed to be recognized as co-occurring in 2013. It was not long ago at all, by the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders. Prior to that, clinicians were only allowed to diagnose one or the other, based on which presented more strongly. That must have been so confusing for people. Knowing and accepting our neurodivergent self is associated with positive mental health outcomes. We don't need to tell the world that we are, only when we're ready and want to. But it's important to know this in ourselves, how our brains think, so we can create a world that is just right for us. Exactly. Okay, there's actually a QR code here. I'm not sure if that will work, but you're welcome to try it. So there we go. I just wanted to share this book with you and give you a little update on how I'm going with it all. If you've got any questions for me, please fire away. But regardless, thank you for listening. Thanks for being here. I hope you enjoyed the tapping sounds. I know when I'm distracted, I can get a little bit, I don't know, repetitive with the tapping sounds, but otherwise I hope you enjoyed hearing about my experiences. I don't know if enjoyed is the word, but maybe you got something out of it. And that's why I share, So, I'm sending so much love to you, wherever you are right now. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you later, alright?